Good evening. It's quite quiet this week. I don't know why. Anyway, welcome to High G's for another JFDI podcast on Thursday night at 8 p.m. We had last week off, so it was a recorded one that you had dropped in, but it's not recorded tonight. Oh no. Tonight's guest, I'm not even sure if I've told you this, by popular demand, requested by numerous people, and has agreed to come and chat to us about tunes. On which matter, before we even get started, I have to say I'm over the moon at the song choice from our guest, or shall I say the music choice from our guest tonight, because this lady's decided to rip up the script. So from next week on, the rules on song choices are completely changed because tonight's guest has redefined the rules. And I'm dead chuffed that she has. So I first met this lady. Oh, do you remember? We're knocking up. We must be 30 years ago, right? And I'm not going to keep her waiting. But what I will, I just one little thing for those watching, that nobody will know, that the last time that we actually met up was a complete random occurrence. And we'll come on to talk about that. I can't even remember. I think it was either I turned round. I'm sure that the characters from Monsters Inc. were included. And I'll leave it at that. And welcome to the JFDI podcast. Please say a big good evening to Yvette Winterbottom. Hello.
Hi guys.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Now, see, we've already got a couple of people just come on. Ali Back said good evening.
Good evening. You're in my mention tonight.
And Mike Piers is on. He said hello as well.
Hello.
So we've got a few people watching. So do you want to how much do you remember about what happened at Euro Disney?
Well, me and Richard had obviously we this is me and my husband. We'd bought was he my husband at the time? No, he wasn't my husband at the time. We just had a couple of kids. We were just playing at it. And we went to Euro Disney because we had this annual pass, because obviously it was cheaper. Me being a northerner, it was cheaper to get an annual pass than keep going there. And we went on this ride, Monsters Inc. ride, and we were queuing up for this ride. And then I can't remember if it was you or if it was Karen that I heard. I thought to myself, God, I know that voice. I turned around, I swear to God, it was like a haunting. And I'd not seen you for about, since booking. So it was like, must have been, 6 or 7 years. And we just weirdly, I recognised your voice, and you were there at this kiddie ride, and I was there at this kiddie ride. We never had kids before. I don't even think we particularly like children when we last spoke, And then you were there, and we're like, hang on, you are, and I am. And yeah, it was the bizarrest thing. So we went on this ride, and we had kids. We had these mini-me's. And that was made it even more bizarre because we kind of were children in ourselves the last time we met, because we were interested in drinking and partying. So we went on this ride and we agreed to meet up in Planet Hollywood later. Never forget it. So we all met up at this diner table. I swear to God, the table was full of bottles of beer. We just drank away. I had 2 kids. You had 2 kids. So the 4 kids we were trying to entertain them whilst getting pissed, talking about old times. And it was a great night. And it was just purely coincidental, really random, and like a fate event that I really believe in, that is really weird.
Isn't it?
It's weird.
Was that about 2008? Was it? It must have been about 12, 13 years ago.
No, I don't know. Did I have 2 kids or 3 kids then? I think I only had
2.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So, well, Rafe was born in 2007, so it must have been 2006 because I was heavily drinking.
There we go.
So, yeah. So it must have been about then because I learned my lesson after the first two not to drink, really.
Oh dear. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the last time that we saw each other.
It is, yeah, it is. And it was just a purely random thing. We worked together, never saw each other, met up at Euro Disney, totally coincidental. And then it was just like as if it was yesterday. It was really weird. We just thought, right, let's get a booth together. We know what we like. We like drinking. Let's get plenty of it. And that's, yeah, it was a good night. It was a really good night.
It was. And every time the next day was not good. No.
Oh, were you in a hotel?
We were in one of the we were in one of the ones on the park. It was like the little Wild West town area, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we just
can't remember what it was called.
Kind of walked off the escalator and fell into the van, kind of thing. That was us. 12 quid a night. Yeah, that'll do.
Brilliant. So thank you very much for coming on to talk about lots of stuff. What I was inferring when I was talking about you changing the rules with the tunes is we've got two firsts tonight. So you've actually, whether we get through them or not is another matter, but we'll try. You've actually gone for 6 choices, but actually, but actually 2 of them are actually albums. Actually,
yes, yeah, I couldn't pinpoint it to a single song because when I arrived at Buchan, which was under a charge, this is the thing, you see, because at Bulmer, when we were going through trade training, me and Joe Townsend and Kirsty Ricks, we couldn't be normal. We couldn't just come up there on a normal posting. Oh no, we had to go out to a party in training, which they said don't do. Obviously, didn't listen. So we got charged for being pissed in Singleman's accommodation at Bulmer. Hence the charge. They found us, we'd been partying, and because they were quite strict in them days. So we came up to Bulmer with this charge with us. And I remember us all getting the train up. I had a car, so I drove up. It took me forever because I went wrong in my little Mini. I didn't know where I was going. I went up to all the way to Bucky and then came all the way down to Buchan like an idiot. Things never change. And so anyway, we got there and we ended up in the office with warrant officer. Was it Bill Thompson?
Oh, Jock Thompson. Yeah.
Jock Thompson, yeah. So he gave us an absolute fucking grilling. Oh, excuse my language, my children. So we all had to like wash empty buses for about 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
So we got up there and
I'm familiar with that.
Oh God, I was bawling my eyes out. I was so upset because I'd never been told off before like that. He was so stern. But when you got to know him, he was a lovely guy. But obviously he was doing the thing. And what was the question again?
So how you were just talking about when you arrived.
Oh yeah. So I went off on a random tangent, and but did you mention the song, the first song?
I didn't actually mention it. I just said that there was 2 of them were albums.
Right, yeah.
But I will mention the first song because it's. But yeah, we'll mention the first song because that I was searching for it tonight. I thought I had it on single, but I didn't.
No, it's very obscure. Your sister's probably got it.
Yeah, she probably has.
I've got
it on. I've got it on like mix albums, not on single. Anyway, it's "Groove in the Heart" by Delight.
Yeah, so it's the reason why this is one of my choices is because it's not a particular favourite of mine. It's just that when we all arrived up there, after we'd done all the charge and we'd done the jankers and us 3 girls got up there were some girls that took us under the wing and they always used to dress in this groovy sort of like psychedelic stuff with the hair all done, and we were all kind of in awe because obviously we were newbies, we were just straight out of training, and it was all this kind of 80s 70s groove with all this psychedelic shit going on. And this at the time was really, really popular. This kind of retro, kind of girly, I don't know, dancey stuff that blokes probably wouldn't relate to, but us girls did.
Yeah.
And it just really resonated with me because I looked up to the older girls that had been there a while, and they were all into this cheeky dance stuff from that had a root of maybe the 70s, 80s. And I always used to play this when okay, sorry, that's my eldest. When we were getting ready for going out.
Hey, Max.
Oh, yeah.
He was like 1 when you last saw him. He's off out because he's off to uni tomorrow. You won't remember him. It's Graham Richardson. You were Disney. You were like 2.5 foot high when you last saw him, and we were very, very drunk. No. I did extra guest at no extra cost. So although it's not one that I would normally buy, it's one that always reminds me of, first of all, coming up to Buchan, and because it's what all the girls were into then. And I was like, oh yeah, it's really, really good. You know, it's like the Wickfield of Saturday night, and it got us all upbeat and got us all going. Yeah. And that's why it means a lot to me, because whenever I hear that, I always think of myself as like 19, 20, getting ready to go out and disco boogie.
Yeah. Who were those girls that dressed psychedelic like?
No, I don't know, because they were so...
Do you know who I remember that almost looked when she danced? She wore this plastic coat and she almost looked like the girl from Delight, was Fiona Mackay.
That's her. But it was every week. She would wear something so funky, so retro, so you were like, oh wow, that's amazing. You couldn't buy that shit in the shops. You know what I mean? No. So who knows where she got that stuff from, but I was like, oh yeah, you're really cool, you are. Never talked to her, but you know, she was really, really cool. And then there was Becky. I think she had like a Beatle, you know, and I was like, yeah, and she was quite like that as well. She was very, you know, and I was like, oh God, you girls are amazing, because obviously it's first time away from home, and it was just really good dance music to go out to. And when I hear it now, it always reminds me of my youth and girls getting together, that sort of thing, you know, going ready for a night out in, Waverley.
When you went up, well, you obviously, you're saying you went up there on a charge, and that kind of, this is part of that sort of like that introduction. What's the very first thing that you remember, like your very first memory of Buchan?
Of Buchan, well, one, getting there fucking late for a start off, because I was unable to map read. We didn't have sat navs in them days, so my dad bought me this Mini. I'll never forget it. He bought it for 50 quid from his mate at work. Sound as a pound it was, but it was dog shit brown. And I wasn't really bothered. Being a northerner, dog shit brown, I loved it, because before that I had a minivan, and that was all moulded around the side of the windows. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. But so I left Swindon, and they were there. So I drove all the way up to Scotland. I thought, right, I'll send her nowhere. So I thought, Bucky. God knows how I'd got it into my head about Bucky, but I swear to God, Graham, it was near on fucking Inverness. It were miles away, and I remember driving up and up, and it was getting snowier and arse end of nowhere. And then I remember being in my Mini, and then this big horn shout, and I will never forget this till the day I die. And then there was this big articulated lorry on the inside. I must have thought I could have overtook it. I don't know how, fucking 1.1 minute. But I was drifted into its wheels, and its wheels were massive, and my Mini was like this. And it was like a wake-up call, because I'd obviously nodded off. And then I pulled into the side, had a cry, because obviously I was only a bird at the time, naive, just passed my driving test, and thought, what am I doing? Looked at my map and thought, I'm fucking miles away. So then I had to turn down, come down, then go east. And then I remember pulling in, and then I'll never forget, Chris Waller was on the gate, and I'd obviously left Swindon a bit in quite smart stuff, a bit of makeup. And by the time I turned up at the gate, he told me this afterwards. My mascara was all the way down here, because I've been crying so much, because I've gone all the way up about 2 hours, come all the way back down, and turned up at the gate garden. I'm Yvette Winterbottom. I'm here to start. I start tomorrow. When I got into my accommodation eventually, Joe was here, Kirsty was here. They'd got the train up. They'd been out on the piss, and they'd been back, and they'd loved it. I spent the whole bloody night detouring the northeast of Scotland. So that's my first memory of booking, and I thought, oh, they're going to think I'm a right to it. So yeah, it went downhill from then on, really.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Can we roll back just before, just to kind of, I do this, jump backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you why, because most of your songs, well, in fact, all of your songs, and certainly the next one, I know you've chosen an album, but there's one song on it that reminds me of you with just more than any other. But if I go back before you arrived in the Air Force, what was it that you joined up for? Why did you join?
Do you know, I was at the time, I was sales administrator in a garage, and I was working in this Volvo garage. I don't really know, because I didn't, 18, 19, you don't really know what you want to do when you've left college. And I was kind of a receptionist. And they turned around to me and they said, oh, do you want to be like, I can't remember what they call them, like transport administrator? Because they obviously saw some sort of potential, God knows why. So I said, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, I got this job and I thought, what am I doing? I'm just transporting vehicles off one thing to another. And at that time, they had careers office on the main street, trying to recruit you, because obviously there was a massive recruitment drive. There was a shortage. My granddad and of both sides were in the forces, and I popped by a careers office. It was RAF careers office, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, glossy posters. I'm no doubt that 90% of us joined because of those glossy posters. So it's like, and I originally wanted to be a dog handler, puppy dog, lovely Alsatian. And I thought, brilliant. So on my lunch break, weirdly, I thought, oh, I'll go in and have a chat. The next thing I know, I'd signed up and I already had a job. So I thought I was going to be one of these dog handlers. So I'd signed up, they took my name and everything, and then they get you on the, oh, well, this recruitment drive is finished. We're not recruiting for them anymore. How about aerospace systems operator? And I looked at it and I thought, oh, that sounds really interesting. Of course it sounded interesting. They were trying to sell it to me. So, and that's how, and that was that. Just by one lunch break, walking past, bored at work. Yeah, it was through and obviously my grandparents were really patriotic.
Yeah.
And one of my granddads, who actually from your podcast last week, he was called Arthur.
Ah, okay.
So that's why obviously this week he gets a mention, because it was very important to me, and he was the first grandparent to die, called Arthur, and that's why my son, his middle name is Arthur. So we named him after him.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool name, to be fair, Arthur.
Yeah, it is.
A cool name. So it's going through quite a fashion at the minute, but back then it really wasn't. But yeah, it just, and they kind of said, oh, it was great, They were both alcoholics, obviously, because they were fought in the war. But, it's a tradition that's passed on down the line.
And then before you knew it, up there you were.
I was on a bus to Swinderby. Yeah, but I must tell you about that bus to Swinderby. I went, sorry, I'm going off.
No, carry on.
Swinderby. This is the night before. Obviously, I'd signed on. Your parents come to the attestation and they say, yes, you're going to join. You're going to be here at a certain time. So the night before, my best friend said, really good night. Let's give you a good send off. Let's go out. So of course, me being me, of course we went out, Graham. We went out and we got totally shit faced. We got a lift off this couple who drove us home. Well, we're trying to drive us home. They were obviously drinking and got stopped by the police. So they got the car took off them. So we had to then walk to where they lived. This is about 3 o'clock in the morning. My mum must have been going batshit crazy. As a parent, I know that now. But back then, you were like, yeah, whatsoever. I've got to be on the train at 7:30 in the morning. It doesn't matter. Gets to 6 o'clock. And I'm like that. I really need to phone for a taxi because I've got to be on a train in an hour and a half. So we get to taxi at 6 o'clock. Come home with my friend. My mum is waiting at the front door for us. My bags are all packed, ready to go to the train station. We went batshit crazy. I got in, had a shower. My bags were all packed. Went to Preston train station. We got the train for 7:30. Never got a wink of sleep. Honestly thought I wasn't going to make it. I honestly thought I wasn't going to make it. I probably slept the whole way there, just there in my blue kit bag. Yeah, and that's pretty much been my life. You know what I mean? Fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl. Never took anything too seriously. Yeah. But it's not done me any harm, to be fair. I've always got where I needed to be. And there's always been a drama and there's always been a crisis. But it makes it more fun.
Yeah.
More interesting.
I think we probably met a lot of people that take life very seriously, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's serious things in life, but it's like you know, David Kinnaird, who was on a few weeks ago.
Yes, all that. Yeah.
You know?
I'm a big believer in fate, and I know you are, and I know a couple of people that have been on the podcast are, and things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and it's all part and parcel of growing up, building yourself up, and you learn from it, whether it's good or bad. You know, I've had some real bad things happen.
Yeah.
You know, and some good things happen, and you just learn from it and move on.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Talking of bad things happening, when I let my good lady wife hear this next song choice of yours,
oh dear,
she stood and listened to, until it got to the chorus, and then went ah, and I said, "Who is it? Do you know who it is?" And she went, "No, and I don't want to. I think I've blocked this band out of my head for a reason." And then I said to her, "I'm going to say 3 words," I said, "and it's going to just conjure all sorts of images in your head again." And she looked at me and I went, "Army of Lovers."
Oh my God.
And it was, you know what song it was that was on? It was like, "I'm crucified."
You know what? I actually, obviously, it's Army of Lovers Crucified, and the whole. I actually don't know how I got into it. I think it's possibly because it was heavily played on MTV, and you know, back then you all congregated in the like the cafeteria, and it was a big thing back then. And I thought, oh, they're a bit weird because they're French, and I quite like them, and they dressed a bit gothic. And I thought, I'm going to get their album, because back then you didn't download shit like what we do. Well, I remember subscribing to this thing where you got 5 CDs a month and you come in a box, and it was really, I can't even remember the name of it now, but we all did it. We all did it.
Was that Britannia Music or Music Direct?
Something like that.
One of those.
Get your first subscription free, and then you wait for these CDs. So I ordered it. And then I thought that was brilliant. And it coincided with the time, and I used to play it non-stop. I'm so sorry, Karen, but the block must have just hated that album. But it coincided with the time when, I'll never forget, your sister came up for a visit. And I think she came up for a weekend. She must have, I think she was a couple of years. Is she a couple of years younger than us?
Yeah. Yeah, she's 2 years younger than me.
Yeah, so she obviously was bunking up in Karen's room, and she must have heard me spouting this shit coming through my room. I thought, oh, I quite like that. It's a bit different. It's a bit retro. And then we got chatting, and I remember I lent her that CD. Never got it back. 20 years, I swear to God, and I never got it back. And I really love that. But she was so nice. And I thought, as long as you enjoy it, I don't mind. But I really loved that CD, because I would play it non-stop, and then I would think, right, I've heard enough now. She's like that. No, play it more, play it more, play it more. She was always in my room, and I thought, oh, that's really cute, that, because she was a couple of years younger, maybe 17, maybe when she came up.
Yeah, she would be, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll never forget that, because she always liked my musical taste, and I always thought, oh wow, yeah, maybe I don't listen to shit music. She liked it. But yeah, I remember lending it to her, and I never got it back.
Well, I'm seeing her next weekend, so I'll say Yvette's asking for an Army of Lovers.
Yeah, she'd be like, that, what's she on about? But yeah, it was, and it was very obscure, and it was very, I suppose, a little bit camp at the time, you know, because they were all dressed in weird stuff, you know, like, and it was like non-sexual kind of stuff, and at the time it was like, oh, it's a little bit risque, that, but Yeah, it
Did
was
you
really
say
great.
non-sexual? Because my memories of them were all, especially their album covers, it was all like, it was more like sort of
Well,
subtly sexually deviant.
well, yeah, maybe, but yeah, I've probably blocked that out of my mind. But yeah, he did. Yeah, they were very weird, and I don't know why I liked them. It was just really weird, and that was kind of like French, like music singing, and it's kind of got me onto one of my other things, which is also French. So
Okay.
Karen's on it, yeah.
There's what she's saying here. So there's a question in there for you. We all had a tune in the block. What other tunes do you remember other girls in the block playing?
Well, I used to, where I was, because Karen was down, but I was on, as you're going in, I was first on the left, and Karen was down, and she was like midway on the right. And I used to live opposite Emma Watson, and who was a gym freak, and Kirsty, she's now Fitzpatrick, and she was, and them two were both into gym, heavy metal, and sort of like, oh God, rocky shit. So
Oh,
they
I remember. Yeah.
remember. And
Yeah.
Emma, when you went in a pad, she used to have wall to floor ceiling of DVDs, because if she wasn't in the gym, she was always watching telly.
Didn't she listen to stuff like Def Leppard and all
Yeah,
that
all
kind
that kind of hardcore shit. And then I was like, she tried to get me into it. She's a lovely girl. She tried to, and I was like, no, I really want to that. You know, I love to dance and stuff like that. But because she was training and it was the kind of stuff that she liked, and I was more of a runner than a gym person. Yeah, and I just think that, I don't know, I think that Karen and the people that were down, we always used to play the same kind of dance music that we liked. You know what I mean? We always used to really like it, but yeah, they must have really hated it when I played that shit, because nobody really knew about it, and they always used to play it full blast. Because when I first got there, it takes me onto another one. I met one of your podcasts, Ali Back.
Oh yes.
So Ali Back was really into his music and really into his bass and quality of music. You know, he wasn't into quantity, he was in quality, and he loved his decks and stuff like that. And one of the first things I did buy when I got there with my first wage packet was I've still got it actually. It was an Aiwa station, and it cost me £800. And that was our first wage packet.
Yeah.
So, and we bought it on finance. It was the first thing I'd ever had credit for. I was so excited that I could buy this thing monthly. And it was about 3 foot fucking tall. It was this black thing with about 6 different elements, and then a record deck. And then I just got talking to him, and he was like, it's all about quality. So I bought this stereo. And that's when we got these CDs, put these CDs in, and it would play it dead loud. And I thought it was amazing, because I'd never had one before. So with my first wage packet, I bought this thing on HP and finance, because I'd never had that before either. I'd always paid for things cash. Never really had anything. So yeah, I was so chuffed. So it was like a standoff with the dances and the you know that kind of music sort of thing. And then obviously I had a Def Leppard, rocky stuff. He was pumping up to go to gym past me. We always used to leave our doors open. It was a great time. It was a great time.
So here's one for you. If you could go back to then now, and give that Yvette one piece of advice, what would it be? Or you can have a very similarly questioned, right? Or put it slightly different way. What bit of advice do you wish that you had been given? So whatever way you look at it, which bit of advice do you wish you'd been given, or would you give that Yvette? Might be the same thing.
I don't think I would change anything, to be honest.
Nothing.
Because I think in that block we had a good bunch of girls. There were never really any arguments. Well, there was one fight between me and Joe, but that was it.
You and Joe, what your pal Joe?
Yeah. We had a big fight. It was over a bloke, but it was
What was that over? Wasn't over a guy, was it?
Yeah. You
I don't, rem-
when you were a
I
kid.
don't remember
You know,
that.
during the guys' block. But I think actually Karen split us up, to be fair. I think it was Handbags at Dawn. Yeah. Yeah, it was Handbags at Dawn. Honestly, looking back on it now, it was so inconsequential. But yeah, it was utter shite. But yeah, honestly, I wouldn't change anything. I just think it's character building, team building, and we all had our different music. We all went out together at the end of the day, no matter what we did at work, whether we were on A or B. We all, if we were off, we went out, and that's all that mattered. And that's like, weirdly, I've put down with the massive luxury overdose with that song. The first lyric of it is, "We stand united. All our friends are invited." And I actually never really knew that when I was listening to the song or playing the song. But because we all lived together and played together, it didn't really matter what shit we got up to, because we just always used to say, right, we're off, we're going out downtown. And we always did, you know.
Yeah.
We did.
You ended up on shift pretty quickly, didn't you? And kind of you were on shift for quite
Yeah,
a
yeah.
quite well, which gave you the luxury of having 4 days off to spend all this money in the northeast of Scotland on. And
My choices were endless. My choices were endless.
So of all those times, what's the craziest thing you ever did? I don't know this, and I'm not putting words in your mouth. I was just thinking tonight, what questions do I want to ask you?
I don't really think I did anything crazy. My most, because all right, you may think that, but
just remember, there's people watching that if you don't.
all right, well, I'm being honest now. Booking was amazing, right? Okay, I spent 18 months, 2 years of total shit-facedness. Okay, so when I wasn't at work, I was shit-faced, and it's totally true. So I was either sleeping or drinking. So I was down the pub. So probably the memories that you guys have, I won't remember, because I was probably totally out of it. But work-based memories, I'll look back in fondness now of you, Bladesy, and the other guys. They were probably, I can't remember the names now. Like Karen has mentioned in other podcasts, of getting beaten up in the smokers' crew room, next to the non-smokers' crew room, tie-wrapped to chairs and tables. And I look at that in fondness, because I do believe now it was character building, although at the time it was very, very painful, Graham. I can look back and laugh now. No, seriously though, I do think we all need a bit of character building. And do you know what? I totally loved it. It was so funny at the time, because you can't do that shit now. You can't do that now, and it's so. Even though I've gone out of one uniform service into another, it's so PC correct that you do have to watch your arcs. And back then, we never needed to. You could say or do anything, and if it got too bad, we would say something. But you know what? It wasn't. It wasn't. We knew we were all mates, because you would kick the shit out of us during the day and then buy us a pint at night, and all was forgiven.
Yeah, and
it wasn't. When I say kick the shit, I mean it wasn't violent. It was just such a laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people probably thought it was a bit far. I never. I loved it. I thought it was great. You give as good as you get. You know
I think that was expected. It's
it was.
It couldn't
what
happen.
Bonded us, and that's what made us a good team. You know what I mean? And then after you'd had been tie-wrapped for hours on end, which didn't really bother us, because obviously if somebody else would have to go in the upstream and we'd just be fucking left there. It wouldn't bother me. I just
tied to a table.
But then we'd go back behind the totes, which I utterly love, because I always hated sitting on console. And then they'd say, go and get me a set square. And then they'd put the call sign of Papa Echo November 15, and you'd just sit there. And you would take the piss out of us non-stop for all these stupid things. And I loved it. It was so great. And I just wish that people who were joining up now, my hubby's still in, would have experienced that character. And they don't get that. It's far too serious. And we had such a laugh, I think, doing all that shit, because we could get away with it.
Yeah.
And those are very, very fond memories of stuff that, you know, people can't take away, and people now who are joining the service will never ever experience.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the key point there is that it was all seen as fun, and at the point in time where anybody thought it was no longer fun, all they had to do was say that's enough, and it stopped.
And we knew, no, you'd
Yeah.
stop. You know what I mean? It was never that bad, because honest to God, you couldn't get any sense out of me, because I would be in fits of giggles, laughing, tears rolling down my eyes. You know what I mean? As painful it was, it was utterly funny. It really was so funny. And I think when we moved from the biff down to the bunker, you know, and then we got from like raw radar to this synthesizer, it went shit. You know what I mean? It wasn't great for me. We had so much fun up there as a team. We really, really did.
Brilliant. So let's move on to the next song, because we've got Unfinished Sympathy by Massive Attack, which that's been chosen before as well. This is a popular choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the story with this one?
Well, this is where Ali Back comes in, because obviously me and him got dead pally. He loved his music. Some of it was a bit too retro for me, but he introduced me to these, because it's not sort of a song that you can, I don't know, it wasn't really a dance. It was sort of a song where you had to sit down and listen, you know, and at the time they were quite new, and you had to take in it all. And you needed 10 minutes to take it in. You know what I mean? You needed to appreciate it. And Ali, back then, what we didn't know is that he really appreciated music. And back then, as kids, we were like, oh yeah, all we want to do is go out and get drunk. And all he wanted to do was appreciate music, play music for other people's enjoyment, not for his, but for other people's enjoyment. And it was only when you step back after the fact that you realize that. And he, and I'm sure he introduced it to a lot of other people. He bought this album and probably played it non-stop, like what I did, Massive Luxury Overdose, and probably killed the guys in the block with it. But it's just such an instrumental song for me in there, that it's just a song that you can get ready to, or it's a song that you can relax to, or it's just something that you can have in the background, because they are so talented. And he always picks good music, and he always did. But at the time, when you're 19 or 20, is that you or me?
That's you.
Oh, is that me? Oh, that's my daughter. She's at uni. Sorry, I would turn my phone off, but I don't have to do that. I'll just take it out of the room. Wait there. I'll throw my phone down the hall.
That's
nearly killed the cat.
We've had Max.
We've had Max. Sorry, then we've had Bella.
Did you tell them that you were on the podcast tonight, and they're just are they trying to get guest slots?
And they said to me, well, actually, when you gave me the link for me to sign in, and I signed in on the MacBook, it came up that this laptop, MacBook Air, was not supported. So luckily, Maxim was in here, and he did all the button pushing and stuff. So he's now subsequently gone to the pub. Bella's in Leeds at university, trying to call me about probably something. Jesus, I don't have to stop her. Decline. Right, she's declined now, so she might get the head. I'm not quite sure. I'm really not good with IT, so I just have to press no to everything. So if something comes up, I just have to press no. I do apologise. My 14-year-old is probably on the Xbox.
That's all right. That's okay. So that's the. I'll just before we moving on, there's just a couple of comments there. We had Mr. Hamilton was watching. He just said he's going to watch the rest later.
Yes, I do follow him on Facebook, and I see him and his family.
And you missed that there from your good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tune. It's a tune and a half. That
very, very good. It's just one that will never go out. It will never go out. And obviously, anybody who hears it back, you know, it will remind them of Buchan. So yeah. So
going out and having those crazy days, those like kind of the dancey type music. I'm interested in hearing some of the memories of Born Slippy by Underworld.
Yeah, well, Born Slippy, I think it came out after I'd been at Buchan, because obviously after I'd left Buchan, I went to Saxaboard, a remote island, arse end of nowhere. Weirdly, I loved it, absolutely loved it. And then I came back from there, and then I went to Bulmer. And it was just, I got into this group of friends who were into the dance so much, and I love this song. And I'm not sure, is it off Train Spotted?
Yeah.
It is. It's off that film. So I think I liked it as a dance song before I watched the film.
Yeah.
But I just absolutely love it. It's just, it will never go out of fashion, character, whatever. I can put that on now, and I'm 20 again. You know what I mean?
Just lifts you every time.
It really does. It really does. And I don't even know what half the words are saying, because I'm obviously 3 drinks in from the intro. So.
But that if you ask most people, all that they remember is lager, 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 lager.
It's just such, and the film's great as well. Yeah. But I just like it from going out, dancing, and just being young. You know, it's just a young guys or girls song, just to get you on the dance floor. It will have a memory of something, and my memory is of just dancing and being happy, no worries whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously that was after Buchan, and that was at Bulmer, because I got in with a crew that really liked to dance.
Is there one memory of Saxavoord that stands out from the rest?
I've got several, from getting pissed, throwing myself out of a top floor window, nearly breaking my leg, to running to work. There's lots. They all involve drink, Graham. They all involve. I think it's just in me. But yeah, we always used to have.
Well, it was another thing. Davey said was, he said, "How many stories do you know that start with, well, we all met up for a nice cup of tea"?
None in my vocabulary. None. Because if they drank tea, they were not my friend. No, tea drinker. Right, okay, move on. Next. You know, no. Who
was your crew at Saxa?
Saxavoord, I used to hang around with a girl called, at first, Kathy Bowen. And she came up from Neatershead. She was mad as a box of frogs, to be fair. She was. And I kept in the nicest possible way, and I kept in contact with her for a long time, actually until I had Maxim, and she came to my christening, and then I lost contact with her because she left, and I think she went to be a gynecologist or an anaesthetist, and we just kind of lost touch, and it was a shame really, because she was absolutely bonkers, my type of friend, totally 3 sheets to wind. And then after that I got pally with Andrea. God, and now she's married and she lives in Bath. And it was just, I think I spent about 6 months drinking and partying hard. Yeah. And then, for some strange reason, I got into fitness, and I don't know who got me into the fitness, but I started running to work with a backpack on every day.
It wasn't Andrea Horridge, was it?
Ginger Hurd, very slight. She came from Neatershead.
I know, yes.
You know what I mean?
I know who you mean. Yeah.
And then she went to the Falklands. I can't remember her second name.
Yeah.
Shit.
Someone will remember.
Then we got really, really pally, and I went to see her in Bath with the kids, and we met up with our children. And I haven't seen her for years, because obviously we don't live down south anymore.
Yeah.
But we always.
Who are you still in touch with? Are you from the old days? Are you
still in touch with those? Who I told you about lived next door to Emma Watson, who was, I think she was catering. She messaged me the other day. Yeah, she messaged me the other day, and she said, it was really, really bizarre. It was like 2 days ago, because her husband had cancer, and he went to remission, and he's got through it now. So it was a real touch and go for her a few years ago. So she messaged me, must be 2 years ago, and her kids are obviously out, because we're all about the same age, aren't we? We're all like, I'm 50 this year. We're all kind of like 50s. late 40s. Obviously you know, early 30s, that sort of thing. But yeah, and she was just saying, I can't believe it's been this long. And it's the power of social media that keeps you together. You know what I mean? And it was just like, oh, your kids are going off there and my kids are going off there. And it was and she hadn't messaged me for like 7 years. And it was just like as if it was yesterday. And it was just like, well, message me if you're up here. We do this and we do that. And, you know, it's weird because if somebody who I know who I've worked with in the forces was to pass my way, of course they're going to stay by mine. I wouldn't dream of them paying for accommodation. They can automatically come and stay with me, you know, because that's just how it is, isn't it? You're an open house. You're only on this planet once and you've shared an experience together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just, that's just the way it is. Who else? It's hard because obviously I work shift, he works shift. And before we've settled down now, we used to move around every 2 years, obviously, because he's still in the military with a job.
Yeah.
But we never really had a base. It was always go somewhere else. And if you're in that location, then we'll meet up. But if not, it was always really hard.
Yeah.
Well, that's where
you've always loved traveling though, haven't you? Always.
Well, I've had no bloody choice. You know what I mean? But yeah, I have. I've kind of been like, when I was at Buchan, they were asking for volunteers to go to Saxa. You know, I didn't see your name on the list, but obviously I was like, oh yeah, it's a change, I'll go. Yeah. And I did like 4 years up there. Yeah. And then I was so upset to leave because it was such a small island. There was like one copper on there. You were drunk every night. It was amazing. Yeah. Got to go. I hated it.
You say that you didn't see my name on the list, but here's something that you won't know. I actually volunteered to go to the Falklands and they wouldn't let me go because my assessments were too low. Go figure.
Well, right? I volunteered to go for the Falklands and I've never been. And the one time they wanted me to go, I was chief bridesmaid at a wedding. And I said to him, I said, I can't go this time, but put me down for next time. I never went. I would have loved to have gone.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? I'm grateful to them because obviously she was my best friend since like near to a grasshopper. And obviously I was chief bridesmaid. But I would have loved the opportunity to go. And Saxa Board, they say, is very much like the Falklands.
Yeah.
You know.
And I also volunteered. I think it was, I can't remember whether it was Ross or whether it was Mark. I think it was Mark Pattinson was posted to Saxa.
Right.
Well. And he didn't want to go to start with. And I said, I'll go for you. I remember speaking to Jock Thompson, I think it was. I said, I'll go for him. And they went, you're going nowhere.
Why?
This is what he needs. You're not going anywhere. You're staying here. He's going to Saxa Ford, and that's that. You don't. I remember the conversation. It was like, you don't tell us. It was like,
it was wonderful.
We tell you what to do.
Yeah, it was basically 2 years of do what you want. It was really, really good. And then obviously that closed down. Went to Bulmer, cried my eyes out. And then it is. And then, to be fair, I hated Bulmer so much. That's when I went out of trade. It was. Yeah, I volunteered for anything.
That's when you went out of trade.
Yeah, I hated it so much because I just realised that the Scorpio wasn't the life for me. You know, that it had changed so much since Buchan. It was old school. It was raw radar. And it was just great. The camaraderie was amazing. And then you went to Saxa and it was old school again. Yeah. And then you went down to Bulmer and it was just like, you sat down a bunker following a little sperm. Oh my God, I hated it. It was just like that. And I just used to sit there and it was awful. And I tried everything. I went on a parachuting course for 3 weeks, threw myself out of a fucking plane just to get out of work. Went deep sea diving to Belize.
Yeah.
When I was at Saxa, I did an 8-month naval exchange with the Navy. I went all around Indonesia and all that kind of. I hated it. And then in the end, I got pally with Simon Mason, and we saw the thing that comes out for out of trade stuff, and we both volunteered for that. So I went and did that.
And how long did you do that before you left?
What, at Bulmer or the out of trade stuff?
Out of trade.
I did it for about 4 years, and the only reason why I left was because obviously I met Richard and I fell pregnant, and you couldn't do that job while you were pregnant. So I had to leave that job.
Yeah.
And then that's when I went to High Wycombe.
Ah, of course.
Yeah, so I went to High Wycombe. They promoted me. I went to High Wycombe. I hated that.
When did you arrive down at High Wycombe then?
Oh, Jesus, it must have been about 2002, because I left in 2004 and I went down there when I was pregnant.
Crikey.
So I went down the bunker there.
Just before you tell me about that, I have to put this up because I can't believe I let you say that and actually didn't ask you more about it. So yeah, what did you get up to in Malaysia?
That was fantastic. That was my first time. We got actually we were on Wanak and we got deployed to Malaysia. It was amazing. They paid for us, me, Mike, Larry, all the crew from Wanak, and we stayed at the Holiday Inn in Penang. So we had, like, obviously the army with it. It was like a multi-exercise. They obviously all stayed in tents, but the RAF being the RAF, we all stayed in the Holiday Inn, and it was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Really, really good. Really good. What is that now? Sorry, I don't know who that is. It didn't even flash up. Right. So yeah, it was really good. We were right on the beach. We had maid service. Dave was in the room next to me. It was really, really good. And funnily enough, Dave, when I went back with the naval exchange, we went to the same place. We went to the same place, and it brought back so many memories. Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Brilliant.
Honestly, there are so many things that you can do out of that job that I loved more than being in that job, but they were very reluctant to tell you. It was always the case of who you knew, and then when you knew them, you had to badger them to get it. Yeah, I suppose it's pretty much how it is today. But it's just not as much fun today because obviously Richard, I see the other side of it now. He's in, I'm out.
Yeah.
And for him, it's just paperwork.
Yeah.
And he's not fond of it. And I tried to get my kids involved in it, but they see his side. They don't see our side. They see his moving around every 2 years.
Yeah.
And they don't see the fun that we had, as non-commissioned.
Yeah.
Getting drunk and partying all the time. And I tried to tell them that. They just see the serious side. And that's obviously why they're at uni.
Do you think there are people in now, be it, do you think there are people in now having as much fun as we had back there? There must be.
They possibly, I think they're having fun, don't get me wrong, but
Just
they're not having as much fun. Yeah. Do I think that they're all going out getting naked, having bets and, standing on each other's shoulders, taking the bras off? Not a cat and owl's chance. Not a cat and owl's chance. Because you would literally be thrown out the service. And that's what we used to do. And when we went out of trade, we used to have a bar, and we used to hose it down with the fire hydrant, squirt fairy liquid on it, get naked, slide all the way down it. And we used to call it naked bar sliding. And we used to ring the bell, and when anybody rung the bell, we all used to get naked. I don't think you could do that now. Or if you could, I don't think you could do that now. It would. If you could find a group of people that could do that now, I would be amazed.
So the last I saw that happen,
sorry,
there was a rugby team not so long ago that did. They all got greased up and got naked, and they did like naked. That's
brilliant. Well, you get hold of the guys and you throw them down.
Yeah, and it's like human, like 10-pin bowling.
Yeah,
and they were like throwing it. Yeah, that was on social media not so long ago.
Did they get done for it?
Oh yeah.
I'm so glad that they never had any of that when we did it.
That's the thing. It's because these weren't around
Yeah,
when we were that age.
I know. And do you know what? For all the good that they are, yeah, you could have got
Oh no,
all.
I'm so glad. I am so glad. I would have been in a lot more trouble.
Yeah, we would. We would. And we'd have probably not got away with it either.
I didn't.
But yeah, so I'm very grateful that there's no photographic evidence, video evidence. You know, it's just all memories. And obviously as time goes on, the bad bits get blurred, and it's all good bits, you know, character building and all that kind of stuff. And they probably are having good times, but there's so much political correctness now. I would probably find it hard because I was never brought up with all that PC stuff. We always used to say what we thought, and it was never meant in any malice. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like the job that I'm in now. It's kind of the same. You have to get to know your team first, you know, before you take the piss out of them. And obviously there's a line where you go, but yeah, you know, if somebody takes offense to it, you know, you could be reprimanded. Whereas back in the day, you know, yeah, fuck that. It's not half a lager. You know what I mean? There was never any of that, and it didn't do us any harm.
Yeah.
You know. But I just think that it was good in the time. But you've got to think about before us, before that, you know, in the 70s. Oh man, it must have been amazing because they would have just got away with blue murder, you know, for those guys, because there was just have been no rules.
But this is the thing. I'm sure that there must have been. You know, it's just changed from decade to decade.
Yeah,
just changed so much.
Yeah, and there's just too much policy and procedure now. I find it's like in anything in most days now. It just takes a lot of the fun out of it, and I think if you've been exposed to that military humour, if you're working in a group with civilians who have never been exposed to it, there's a very, very fine line.
Yeah,
you know, and it's hard to grasp, you know. So that's why you've got to, you know, play it close to your chest.
Yeah, just be careful. Yeah. Well, listen, you've got two more song choices. Next one's an album. I think we can get through these. I think we can do them because your album choice, I absolutely adore this album, is Leftism by Leftfield.
Oh, yeah. I have no idea who put me onto this, but I do know that I must have got into it at about Sacks of Old time, so just after I'd left Buchan. And I played it non-stop from them. I don't actually know when it came out. And then from there, I used to get everybody down to my house. Obviously, I lived at home because my mum and dad were dead young. They had me at 16, so they were quite young at 40 odd. And I used to get like 7 or 8 people down from the forces to stay at mine for the weekend in my bedroom and party with my mum and dad. So we always used to go out, get pissed in the pub, which was 3 doors away from where we lived. We used to get absolutely rat-arsed. Drew Knox, John Knox, Martin Bransby, Matt McKee, all of us, we used to get absolutely shit-faced. And because bedrooms were so short, there were like 6 of us in my double bed. We'd just go out and get absolutely rat-arsed with mum and dad, who were absolutely quite fine with it. We'd all come back, get pissed, sleep in my room. But it wouldn't be a one-nighter. It would be a weekend event. And this CD would be playing all weekend. And this wasn't one weekend. This would be every weekend. I'm sure my mum and dad must have just got mad at me for just bringing everybody back and getting them shit-faced. But it went on for months and months and months. And that album meant so much to me that because it resonated with the partying and bringing everybody home to meet my family, that when I had Maxim, I had a water birth. I played that whilst I was giving birth. So I had dance music. Yeah, dance music's a big thing. So yeah, I played it today. I played it all afternoon this afternoon because I've been off work thinking, oh yeah, great album. And it's just timeless. It really is just time. I can't put one tune. It's got to be the whole album on play. Yeah, I do love that album, and it is. You're right, start to finish. You can put it on, and it's like, but it has a flow to it as well. It kind of lifts you up, and then it brings you back. Back and chill, or you can dance to it. It's just Yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
great. Or give birth to it, whatever you do.
If that's what you choose.
Yeah.
So when the time came for you to leave, I'm going to ask you why you left. You did kind of explain that, pregnant with
Yeah, I
Maxine.
had 2 kids down at High Wycombe, and
Yeah.
I had to do the briefings at 7 o'clock in the morning. 2 kids, child minding fees, 1,200 quid. Oh, it was ridiculous. Richard was obviously, he was at the time in the Marines, so he was on the display team. So we were commuting from this. It was just really hard work, and I just thought that if I left, it would be easier.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it was. And don't get me wrong, the RAF were amazing. They offered me like a 10 till 3 job in admin. They tried everything they could to keep me, because I'd done like 13 years.
Yeah.
I just had enough. When the time's up, I'd had enough.
Yeah.
I knew that I'd had enough of partying. I loved being a mum. I didn't want to be a mum. It was just really unexpected. But I actually loved it. And that's when I had 2 kids on the bounce. I fell pregnant with Maxim. I had to go back to work. Down the bunker, and I thought, fuck this, I'm having another baby. So I had another baby. And then I came out. That's how bad it was. It was awful. So I had 2 kids on the bounce. I said goodbye. And then I came and settled up north.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Say it was better. How was the transition? How was the sort of, if you will, that initial period of kind of settling after you'd left?
No, it didn't really bother me. I thought it would. I probably got a bit upset at the camaraderie, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't get depression, or I wasn't upset or anything like that, because I still had, I think, probably a link in, because Richard was in the forces. He was in the Marines. Although we didn't have a house or people that were in the forces, he used to come home to the civilian house that we had. And subsequently he left, because it was just too much for him commuting. He left. He went to work abroad, because everybody joined on the bandwagon, all that kind of stuff. And they all went to work abroad, so we did a bit of that. And I thought, I said to him, you know what's a really good idea? Why don't we join the RAF? He did. That's where we're here today. That's how we did it. So I made him leave and join the RAF.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Bizarre
and
story.
he's been. And so how long ago was that then? So that will be that he's been in the RAF for.
He joined. Yeah, about that. Yeah. That's. I mean, obviously we were living together.
And is he still loving it?
Yeah. He's in Iraq at the minute. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just lost you for a sec there.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, I just got a little spinny. Just lost you. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to Iraq 2 weeks ago, so he's out there for 6 months.
Oh, crikey.
Oh yeah. So we've been together through COVID for 1.5 years, living together. It's the most we've ever lived together, I must say, in 20 years. And then it's over 6 months. Yeah, I bet he was looking forward to that.
Because it's the long period that you've lived together.
He had a job in Bristol, which was HQ based, and it was paper based. So with COVID, they said you can work from home. So he's been at home with the 3 kids, with COVID being on, whilst I've been at work.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's hated every minute of it. So when the chance came up for a 6-month deployment abroad, yeah, he was top of that list. Well, yeah, he was dying to get out of the house, in all fairness. So yeah.
And what are you doing? What are you doing now?
I'm basically opening and closing doors, lots of them.
Opening and closing doors is what I heard.
Yes, lots of them. Same as Paddy.
Oh, right. Okay, I hear you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I spend most of my time doing. Yeah, stopping flights, opening and closing doors.
Crikey, do you know what? We're gonna have to come back on and do another one of these, because if you're anything like Paddy, mind you, you might not want to say, But every single time I speak to Paddy, who, by the way, was asking after you, he said to say hello to you.
Oh,
Every time I speak to him, the stories. I mean, we think some of the stories, but oh my lord, some of the things that you must have seen in that job. And I know you'll not want to talk about that on here because you're still doing the job.
no, next time I will, though. Next time.
When you leave.
It's you know, it's very good because I only joined at 46, so I was quite old when I joined the job.
Yeah.
I'm predominantly one of the oldest. So I'm running around with like 23, 25-year-olds. So yeah, it keeps me busy.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, it does. And do you know what? I won't change it. I won't change it.
Enjoying it?
Absolutely love it. The pay is absolutely shit, but I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I think now the kids are older.
Yeah.
I love having a job. Not so much that you can choose, because obviously, you know, you could end up stabbed, but I love having the camaraderie similar to what I had when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I love the fitness. You've got to be super fit, so you've got to train at the gym at lunch, and you've got to run around like an idiot.
Yeah.
And you realise at my age, you're not as, although you think you are up here, trying to run around for 25. Yeah, it don't work. It don't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And on that funny note, we went to. I've not put it on my thing, but I went to watch Faithless a couple of years ago with Richard, just actually after I'd joined the job, and we went to the big arena in London, O2, I think it is. I was 3 hours jumping up and down, thinking I was 20, after Faithless, thinking, yeah, great. Couldn't walk for 3 days, Richard. Could not walk for 3 days. And I thought, what is going on? Because in my mind, I was still 20, jumping around to Faithless, loving it, and it was amazing. I could not walk. I swear to God, every muscle ached. That's when you know you're getting old.
Oh, I know.
My mind would not let me think that I was getting old. You know, because I was just like, yeah, I'm there. I'm still 20. Yeah, 3 days later, yeah.
Knackered.
I think we're all like
you did have that on the list. That was tune number 6. Was Faithless, isn't Insomnia?
Yeah, and it's just it's such a good tune. Throughout my youth, dancing to it. Eventually went to see it. Oh my God! Children, who'd have me? Probably think I'm dead. I'm probably just checking to see if I've logged in okay. But yeah, it's just we're getting on, and although our minds don't think we're getting on, our bodies, well, mine is,
I'm no different. Yeah, you think you can do it, but the body thinks otherwise.
You go running for like 10 minutes, and you're like, I can't speak. You know what I mean? After you've gone for a run, it's.
Well, I've got a couple more questions for you. We're just after 9 o'clock, right? But I've got a couple questions. So, I don't know what this might be. What would you say? I kind of like that and kind of pinpoint this in time zones. What would you say has been your biggest challenge within, like, say, the last sort of 5 years? And the reason I ask that, right, partly to do with age that we're all getting, but also like, you know, thinking about our military careers behind us. I'm interested in, you know, the kind of challenge that you faced, but how you've overcome it.
Well, within the past 5 years, we've moved out of RAF accommodation. Yeah. So we've moved from married quarters about 3 years ago, and we live in our own house now. So for me, I'm only 10 minutes from work, and the kids are settled.
Yeah.
And that for me was a big challenge, because obviously I had to give up traveling with him because he could go to Dubai or Cyprus and stuff like that at a whim, and he's probably going to be going abroad next year, traveling to all these luxury places that I'm not going to be privy to, and I'll hate him for it every day. But I've got my own house with the kids.
Yeah.
You know, even though they're at uni, we're kind of settled and it's our home now.
Yeah.
We never really had that as a military. When you're in, you don't really care about shit like that. But as a military wife, seeing both sides of it, being dragged everywhere where he was, it wasn't always great, but we got on with it. And so now to have our own abode where I was brought up, it's just lovely. It's lovely. So now he has to do all the commuting. So yeah, that was our biggest challenge because we've had to move all the shit that we've ever had in the whole time of the 20 years we've been together into one house. Yeah. And we're not moving again because unless it's a bungalow, because I've had enough. I'm tired. My next house is a bungalow for sure. These stairs, although they're not killing me now, they will bring them. They will, and you'll want it all on one level.
Yeah.
You know?
Brilliant. Right, I've got a few quick fire ones for you. Not military related, just stuff that I'm curious about because it's like just tells us a little bit. So, what are you reading or like listening to at the moment? So, not music aside, but what are you reading, a book or anything at the moment?
I'm not reading a book per se as such, because I'm after applying for some new jobs within my job spec.
Yeah.
So I'm reading up on work shit.
Oh, right. Okay. So you're learning, studying stuff.
Yeah. Studying stuff for enabling me to earn more money. And do something that I really want to do. Because although I love my job, it was for a 25-year-old.
Right.
It's a 25-year-old. And I get pissed off always being at the end of the queue when they're always overtaking me. And I can't handle it. So I'd like something where I don't run as much. But still on the training side, maybe recruitment side. That's what
okay.
So yes, I've got to learn a bit of shit about that. So that's what I'm actively looking at now.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, whilst talking about more money, that's a question on here as well. If say you had £100 million, what would you do with it?
I'd probably give all my friends and family $1 million each because I just think that that's an obscene amount of money. I'd like to buy all my friends and family that I've ever known. There's probably 100, $1 million each.
Do you know? I was wondering where you were going with that because I'm like, do you know? I'm like, I hope you say it because if I had that amount of money, I would probably for everybody I know, I would want to give them, I don't know, enough to get me or something.
If not $1 million, 500,000. You know what I mean? I don't want them to have to worry about a mortgage. There's enough to worry about, bringing kids up, jobs, all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That is lovely. You would give it all away. Is there nothing that you would?
Well, I'd keep something for myself.
Yeah.
I'd like a yacht and nice holidays, but yeah, predominantly, would I share it? Because I just think that much money will buy you jeans, but expensive jeans. Give it to somebody else. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You can only spend so much money. I love going in charity shops. Why would I spend 500 quid on a pair of jeans? I would if I had it. I'll take it away from me, and I'd be quite happy in a pair of 20 quid from Asda.
Oh, crikey, you want to speak to my daughter. she absolutely loves charity shops. She loves like sort of, getting old stuff and making it new and stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I would predominantly give most of it away. I'd obviously live comfortable and have nice cars and never work, but I'd also like the feeling of giving it to somebody else. Yeah. Because it's hard graft these days.
Lovely. All right, what's your favourite movie of all time?
Rebecca.
Oh.
Daphne du Maurier.
Yes.
Because it's an old one, black and white.
Yeah.
I used to watch it with my mum. Maximilian de Winter, main character. That's why I named Max and Maxim.
Yeah. Yes.
Not particularly great, but it just resonates from me reading all the old classics as a kid. and it was just a good book. Laurence Olivier, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What about one travel destination, somewhere that you've not been to that you'd like to go to?
Base Camp Mount Everest.
Oh yes,
I wanted to go there as my honeymoon, but we went to Bulmer Beach. No, we went to Bulmer Beach instead. Because we had to be married to get married quarters, so of course we had to be married within 2 weeks. So we went to Bulmer Beach.
Brilliant. What about one celebrity, dead or alive, you could have a drink with?
It would probably have to be Rick Mail, and I'm sorry, I know he was on last week, but I love the guy, funny guy.
Andy Holmes chose him, yeah.
Yeah, Rick Mail, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Funny, weird, very eccentric. Yeah.
Fantastic. Listen, we're an hour and a quarter.
Oh my God.
I cannot thank you enough. I've had a lot of fun, some real good memories there. Before I let you go, we had loads of people on. You heard Ali was on, and Mike Piers, Hammy was on, and my good lady wife Karen as well. Mr. Large was on saying hello. Mr. Barlow popped on. I think this is when we were talking about Disneyland. Yeah, thanks for that. And he also then said the hour 20 record could go tonight. Well, I think we're about an hour and 16.
So sorry. I love that much, guys.
Who else we got? Andy O'Hare. Hi, Yvette. Great to see you, looking fantastic. Mr. Hamilton. Oh, Mr. Homewood's on as well. Lots. There you go. I'm just trying to. Oh, Mr. Back was on. Walter D. Allen's. He said.
Oh.
Do you remember what? Do you remember Walter D. Allen's?
Do
you?
No.
Walter D. Allen's was. Most people went to Curry's, but Walter D. Allen's had I think a more specialist selection of music equipment. I think that's where Ali got his stuff.
Oh, okay.
In Peterhead.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's probably because we never went there. Very exclusive. He used to go back and get all the goodies and then bring them back and go, listen to this, listen to this.
Yeah. There you go. So lots of people. Any final word from yourself? Would you like to say hello to anybody or anything else that you?
No, just thanks, guys, for watching, and let's carry on watching it so that Graham can do it every week. And I'm interested to know who's your guest next week.
Well,
have you got a guest next week? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I can tell you. It's quite exciting because similarly to yourself, quite a few people have requested next week's guest, and she was a little bit, I won't say not keen, she was just a little bit shy and a little bit apprehensive, but we've had her on a couple of times in the background. She came and said hello when Coral was on.
Oh, yes.
And next week, Vicky Franklin is going to be on.
Yes, brilliant.
So I can't wait.
See, of all this time of having no women, they're flooding to you now, Graham. We're flooding.
This is it. I understand why it's a little bit, but the thing is, we had all these guys on and lots of women saying, when are you going to get a woman on? When are you going to get a woman on? We asked loads, and everybody was like, no chance.
Yeah, we
no
were.
Chance. But you know what? It is absolutely, it's wonderful for me to get a chance, not just to talk to guys, but to talk, because I think Dave said tonight, what a wonderful, I'll let him say it and close rather than me. A beautiful lady inside and out, a great show tonight. Yeah. Loving hearing the lady's point of view from a past life. And I couldn't sum it up any better myself.
Yeah. But it's good because we listen to everybody's memories and we take on everybody's perspectives, whether they're good or they're bad. And you know what? Yeah, it's great. It's great. I've really enjoyed it. I was a little bit nervous. I have to say, but yeah.
It was all good.
I'll do it again. Just have to make sure I'm not on shift, but yeah, I'll come back.
Lovely. It's been wonderful speaking to you. Please don't go anywhere. We'll say goodbye to everyone that's watching, but please stay just for a couple of minutes in the green room. It's just to build intrigue about what we talk about after we've gone off air. That's all, really. But it means I can thank you properly. But do you want to say good night to everyone? Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll speak to you next week. See you next week when Vicky.
Hi guys. Thanks for
you,
watching. And I'll be here next